I was with Maharaji. I felt so inadequate and so unworthy that I would continually say to him, how can you send me away? How can you send me back to the United States where people are going to want things of me and I can't fulfill them? I'm not a dharmic person. I'm a totally impure person. I've got all this lust and this power trippiness and this insecurity, and what are you doing? You're just sending me into the lion's mouth and you're giving me no protection. You haven't given me anything to protect myself from my own impurities. I said, the worst thing I can imagine is that I can do damage to another human being, that I can do stuff that will create karma by creating suffering. And I said, I'm just too impure, Maharaji, you know. And Maharaji at that moment looked at me, and he looked at me like he was looking at a specimen. And he looked at my hair and my head, and he looked at my eyes, and he looked, and he came up really close, and he looked like this. And then he had me turn around. And I turned around, and he looked in my ears, and he looked, and he looked, and he looked, and he did this whole routine. It was a Marx Brothers routine, and he did the whole thing, and when I got all the way back around, he looked, and he looked very surprised, and he said, I don't see any impurities. And of course, my first reaction was that silly old man. You know, because obviously, any fool can see my impurities, but you see, any fool sees their own foolishness. And what he saw was his own godness. And he didn't see the impurities. It was my preoccupation with my impurities which was feeding the whole situation, not his. He was saying, maybe there's another way to look at who you are. That seemed to be the essence of the message.